If you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box on the right side of your screen, or you can maybe unmute yourself also. Also, please note that the contents of this presentation should not be used as a financial advice at all. It is an educational presentation only. And yeah, so this is the agenda that we are going to cover in this session. Firstly, I will walk you through the Microsoft Azure features and how, as a student, you can avail some of the Microsoft Azure credits. After that, we'll begin with understanding the problem statement that we are going to solve today, which is to build a self-learning agent that learns to trade by itself. Then Avinash will talk about how a reinforcement learning agent learns and improves iteratively from its environment. He will also talk about some examples to intuitively understand the reinforcement learning concepts. After that, he'll dive into how reinforcement learning, which has made great strides in trading industry, could be used to create a automated trading bot. And then we have the demo, which will be taken care of by Avinash, and then the next steps and moving ahead. All right, so as I talked about Azure for Students, so if you are a student at the moment and you have an educational email address, the email ID by your university, you can get approximately $100 of Azure credits, plus some services are free till you are a student. So I highly recommend that you use that opportunity. And when you sign up as a student, you get $100 credited in your Azure account for almost around 12 months. I will share the link after the event. You don't have to worry about that. I highly recommend that you create your account to check out the services and just play around with the Azure features which we have, which we will be discussing in the upcoming slides. All right, so I think with that, I would really like to invite our guest speaker, Avinash Pandey. Avinash, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Swati. So I will share my screen now.
Sure.
Just a minute. So yeah, so is my screen visible, Swati?
Yes, yes, Avinash.
Okay. So hi everyone. So we will start with the basics of reinforcement learning, and then we will solve a very simple example. We will see how reinforcement learning is used to solve basic examples, and through that we will have some idea of the underlying concepts. Then we are going to see how uh, it can be used in a financial setting, and then we will go through the code in Microsoft Azure, and then there will see that okay, what are the components that we are using while creating an automated bot that learns to trade by itself. So the objective here would be to create an agent which can learn to trade by itself given the information, that is the closing prices or uh, earning reports or news sentiments, etc. So with that, let's start with what is reinforcement learning. So at its core, reinforcement learning is just an agent interacting with its environment and then learning. So like we all, whenever we start to play any game, first start to see, okay, these are the rules, and if we play like this, like, let's say the example of table tennis, we will see that if we play these shots, okay, the ball is going too far, the ball is going to the net, and we learn step by step. So in a reinforcement learning also, what happens is there is an agent and there is an environment. So agent keeps performing some kind of action, and then environment kinds of give a feedback to the agent based on whatever the action is performed. So the loop goes like this. So there is an agent, it performs an action, the result of that action will result in a reward or punishment, and that we will define that what is a reward and what is a punishment, and then it will change its states. So like after after doing an action, let's suppose it was at state S. After getting that reward or getting that punishment, it goes to S dash. So now we have seen a very basic diagram, and you may not be able to relate to, okay, what is an action, what is an observation, what is an reward. So we will take a very small example, and then we can see that what this basic diagram is all about. Okay, so this is a very classic example, very basic example that is taught everywhere whenever we start talking about reinforcement learning. So I thought we should include this in our presentation as well. So the problem statement here is we have to train this guy, this small fellow, to go from the starting point to the ending point, and it cannot go into the, it cannot step into the blocks which are blue. So it's like it's a frozen lake, but some parts are like uh, not frozen and there is water and we don't want to step on the water. So and it can take one step at a time. So ideally a human brain can easily identify, okay, it can go from A to D, D to E, E to F, and F to I. But and this agent does not know anything. It does not know anything about what is the difference between A and what is the difference between D and G. For it everything is same. So how does it trains itself to go from this state to this state with least penalty, or like we can say with maximum reward? So as we said, so in a reinforcement learning setting, there is a state, then there is an action, and then there is a Q value. So Q value is nothing but reward based on a specific state and a specific action. So suppose if this agent goes from A and take an action of going down. So A down, there is a reward of 20. And and for A taking an right action, like if it goes in the rightward direction, it will jump into water. So that we don't want. So the optimized Q value, like whatever the algorithm going behind it, it will finally converge into something that will prevent the agent to going at this side. So we can see that A right, our state action pair like D down. So we can see that D, and if you take the action down, so the Q value is very less. So it kind of reduces the overall reward function. So 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 now we have a very basic idea. Okay, to create a reinforcement learning model, we need an environment. So environment is like this whole ABCDEFG, this whole lake scenario. The agent, the agent is like this guy here, and then we have to figure out how to calculate this Q value table. So if you can if you have a Q value table, then almost all your problem is solved, because the agent can then see, okay, if I am at state A, which action I have to take, or like which action can give me the maximum Q value, or like in state D, given three action, which action should I take? So now we have an understanding that what is an agent, what is an informant, what is a Q value, and like what is the gist of a basic reinforcement learning problem. Okay. So, so now here, what we have discussed till now is like we need to have a Q value. In case of a deep Q learning model, or like it's a very small, so this frozen lake problem has only 9 states. But in a trading scenario, or like say a self-learning car scenario, or like if you are designing a bot which wants to which you are designing to play against world champions of chess players, there are many states and there are many actions involved. So in those cases where there are multiple, there are like large amount of states and large amount of actions, then the state action pairs are like the number goes very high. The basic numerical methods kind of fail there. So what we use is we use a kind of a neural network. It's a very basic deep neural network that we use. So in so I will now give you a, in the interest of time, what is the agent that we are going to use today, and this same type of agent is used in separate applications also. So let's say this is our trading agent, and it could be represented by this. We give an input, like you can give the rolling price average, like simple moving average of 5 days, 10 days, 15 days. You can give it the earnings report, you can give the new sentiment index to it, you can give it the like n number of information that you can give. So those will be its state. After that, it will it will have a hidden layer. So each one layer will have their own weights and own biases, and through feed forward uh, computation and then back propagation, it will calculate the optimum weights and biases, and then it will give you the q value. So here what I have shown you is like q value is given, but in real life q value is not present. So what happens in a trading agent, and similar things happen in like say self-learning car also, where we have to decide whether the car is going to get a right turn or a left turn. So what we give an input, and it will give you the q value of all the actions. So in a trading setup, you can only perform three actions. Either you can buy a stock, you can hold a stock, like you can do nothing, or like you sell the stock. So given the state, it will say you what is the q value of each, what is the reward given each of your action, and then it will automatically take the highest q value, or sometimes it takes a random value also. We will talk about that later. That is exploration exploitation trade-off. We will talk about it when we will go into the code case. So now I am moving forward. Okay, so these are the like very basic implementation of reinforcement learning algorithms that are like available online. I have seen the course, and I have these are the results that I have gone through my own notebooks result. So on the left, we can see there is a sine wave. For a moment, don't think about the red and green dots. Imagine there is a sine wave, and then we introduce a noise to it. So like any random number between 0 to 1, and we kind of add noise to it. So you can see that what they are trying to do is they are trying to simulate stock prices. So like it's more or less a ranging market example, where the price are ranging between an upper limit, which is many times called resistance level, and a basic support level. And then they implemented their RL model to see if it could, you know, learn to trade. So you can see that the green points are the points where the agent starts buying the stock. So you can basically see that, okay, it starts buying when the stock is trending. So mostly it's a momentum seeking stock. And so that is about this left one. And the right one, what they did is like they combined various like sine waves, cosine waves of various amplitudes and various intervals, and they created something like this, which is more kind of an advanced example. And in this case also, we can see that the reinforcement learning agent eventually learns how to trade. So but in our case today, what we're going to do is we are going to trade on actual trading, actual stock prices. We will take the stock prices of we will pull the stock prices of Tata Steel from Yahoo Finance. We will see that data, how it is. We will plot those data in Microsoft Azure, and then we will apply the model and see if our agent is able to learn how to trade, and like if the profit is increasing. And like today we are not going to talk about like the risk factor, the how much risk is taking, and like we are not going to talk about how much transaction cost it is like costing the investor. But today it's all about uh, seeing what are the basic components of an reinforcement learning agent, and if it could be applied to a financial setting. So moving on. So these are the steps that we are going to focus on in our code. Firstly, we have to create function for getting the state. So what is our state? As we discussed, it is closing price, new sentiment, technical indicator values, fundamental values, ratios, whatever you can get about the stock, that is kind of varying. and which it can use to train itself. Then we have to get the Q value for those action. So initially, when we initialize the whole agent, it will start off with random Q values, and with time the neural network will kind of try to reduce the loss function. I'm not going to give you mathematical formulas because it will be kind of it will complicate the presentation. I'm just giving you the intuitive idea. We will see the mathematical expression when we are in the code, but that's okay. So first we are getting the state, like get all the information using the neural network, get the Q value. So when you get the Q value, you know, okay, which actions you have to take, and then you perform the action, like whichever has a maximum Q value. So initially, when the model starts working, there is also a concept of exploration exploitation. So we set a epsilon value or like a value. So like say 80% or 90% of the time, it will perform it will perform the action based on what the neural network says. So let's suppose the neural network say buy the stock, it's a good time to buy, it's trending, or like it's when near to its support level. So the agent will do that. But initially, to avoid going in one direction and not exploring other options, it will take a random action also with a very low probability, like 10%. So like if it trades 100 times, so one time like 10 times it will try to do a random thing so that it can get a global optimized Q value. So after that action is taken, it will store the reward value and the state, the information of the next state that it goes. And this whole thing, this initial state, the action, the reward, the next state, this is stored in a tuple, and it's called, so you can call it the experience. So like whatever it did, like variable start with what action it took, what reward it got, and then it will kind of store it in a list or like a place where all those experiences are stored. This, and now you will ask, okay, now we have taken the action, why do we need the experience? We need this experience for the neural network. So the neural network will take a very small branch of this experience, and it will use to, you know, optimize itself so that the loss function between the expected Q network, like what the actual value is, and what the what the DQ and network, or the the agent that we just saw is kind of predicting. So here we can see that, and then it goes in a loop. So give the information, the neural network will give you a Q value, you will take an action, the reward will be stored, this whole thing will be stored in an experience, and then this experience will be again used to update the neural network. So we can see this goes on in a loop, and eventually you should see that, okay, uh, the agent trades well. So now it's the demo time. I will show you the code. So this is a Microsoft Azure whole user interface. It's very user friendly. So now let's start with first of all you need state, or first of all you need the data. So from where we will get the data? We will get the data from Byfinance. So I mean, this notebook is already, I have uh, applied the notebook. First of all, I will, so that you guys don't get overwhelmed with the coding and all those things, I will show you the results. Like the agent that we are going to talk about for, let's say, next 10 to 15 minutes, is it really able to trade well? So what we can see here is, when our, I think problem with the scrolling. So when the agent starts, you can see there is a, so stands for buying, and red stands for selling signal. So you can see it's very so this is for Tata Steel past 200 daily data. I will explain it when we are, but now I'm just saying that, okay, it's past 200 or 300 So I think it's past 1 year data, daily level data. We have 5 columns: open, high prices, low prices, close, volume. Like standard OHL CV data is here, and we can see the agent is kind of randomly acting. I mean, it is, I can't see a pattern in here. Uh, it's more like you know, very random. Since the stock overall went up, it is showing a total profit of $1,000. So it is not, don't think about it as dollar, think of it as rupees only. So just printing error. So total gains is like 1,000, but we can't think, okay, what is going on? It's very random. I don't know what the agent is going. And when the training starts, so this agent is trained for 2 hours. After 2 hours, what happens? So you can see that after first iteration, it is showing a profit of 2,721. But as I mentioned earlier also, this also is very random. I don't see any pattern in it. I mean, this is more segregated as compared to this, but after one iteration we can't be sure of anything. So let's see what happens next. So now we see that there is a very big decline. I mean, it goes from 2,700 to 236. Okay, just give me a minute. There was some noise. Okay, so in the second iteration we can see that the profit drops from 2000 to 236 because now the agent is starting to learn. So it will perform an action in one direction and it will see that if, okay, something is going to happen or not. And we can see that slowly now the profit is increasing, and there is a pattern that is emerging, that it is kind of buying on one side and selling on one side. And from 200 to 700, then 850, you can see that, okay, now the pattern is much more clear. We still don't know exactly what RL agent is doing, but we can see, we can, from the way it is trading and from the way it is improving, we can see, okay, like whenever it is seeing that a confirmed support line is kind of established, it is kind of buying, and when it is trending, it kind of let it trend. So let's see that after some more iteration what happens. So now we see that after 200 to 700 to $850, it goes on for 3,225. So it's a big improvement, and now we can clearly see that there is a good amount of segregation that is there. And and as we increase, it kinds of performs it more segregatively. And and so this is like, is a very small training example. So it goes to 4,190, and in the last episode it again do something random. So because there is an always a probability of uh, doing a random choosing a random episode and choosing what the q value says. So, and this is a very small uh, this is a very small subset that we have taken. We have trained it only for 2 hours. So in like advanced cases, we would run it for, let's say, 100 epochs or 200 epochs. It's just a 8 epoch setting. So now that like we have seen, okay, what an agent is capable of doing, and whichever RL trading agent you will see, the basic concepts are going to be same. So let's start with this whole thing. So these are the important libraries, so NumPy, Pandas, plotting libraries, and um, Finance. We have installed it. So here, if any of you don't know, then there is an option to take the data from Finance. It kind of supplies the open, high, low, close volume data at various intervals. So interval you can set here. Now here the interval is set at 1 day. You can use it for hourly data. You can use it for 5 minute data. You can use it for 1 minute data. If I'm not wrong, it kind of supplies till 1 minute data. And for you can ask it. I have asked it for like past 3 years data of daily category at one point. So you, for your basic trading strategies, back testing, you can use Yfinance. It's like a fairly moderate level of data they kind of provide. It's very free, it's very convenient. You just have to write 2 lines of code, just uh, write a ticker. One thing you need to know is the ticker that you are going to enter, the ticker should be that it's pulling from Yfinance data. So whatever the ticker it's mentioned there, you are going to use that ticker only. So for Tata Steel, it's tatasteel.ns, and then this whole data set is there. We are seeing that data download is completed, and these are like basic filter warnings. Like so here is the sample data set. So if we see, yeah, so we can see that you have open data, you have high, low, close, adjusted close, and volume. So one thing that is you can do, so here for the inputs, I have used rolling data of past few time periods. What you can do is, if you have open high, low, close, volume data, you can create your own, let's say, technical indicators like MACD, RSI, CCI. You can just very simple functions, and you can create your own indicators and put input to the uh, RL agent also. So that is something that you can do by the end of this video. Uh, and then just for illustration purpose, we can see that, okay, this is the Tata Steel from 2011 to 2021 9. So like pretty much 1 year, past 1 year data is there. It's plotted. It's a basic uh, matplotlib plot, and then we just check if there is any null values are there. So there's no null value. Uh, so yeah, we're good to go. Um, we just want to see that, okay, we have, so we have 248 rows. Okay, it's fine. Uh, so now here, from here we start our training purpose. So for for the training, we need to split the data. So we are going to split the data into 80%, 20% uh, uh, category. So here just we are, splitting the data X train, X test into like 0 to train size will be X train, and train size to like the whatever the length is. So like 80% data comes into training set, and the rest 20% is in test. Now here the most complicated, like not very complicated, but like a little bit, it could get a bit overwhelming when we are seeing it for the first time. So so there are basically two things that we discussed in the presentation that we want. First is we want to create an agent, and the second is we want to create an environment, and then third is like we want to create a deep Q learning model which can take the data and take the state input and tell you what action you should perform. So this class, so I don't know how many of you are comfortable with class and coding system, but it's basically we define an object and then we give it some certain properties like I will just very much simplify it for you. Uh, so like what is the state, size, like how much of data do you want to put in the agent, like do you want your agent to take care of, like what is the memory of your data, like of what, how much data it is really taking into account to take any action for. Let's say it is taking into account for past 2 weeks data, then it will be 14. And then the action size, so action size is 3, like you can only hold, buy, sell, all those things. And then uh, these are like the local variables that we will use. This is the model name. So these are the things that are important. Gamma, so I will point out the important things in this whole code. So gamma is very important in the sense that, let's suppose, I mean, if any of us from the economics or financial background, we know that whenever you are giving a reward, you have to take into account the future rewards also. So the future rewards is what is being taken care of the gamma. So like how much emphasis are you going to give on the future rewards also, and not just on the immediate reward. So higher the gamma, higher is the emphasis on the future reward. And if you just want to get the short term results, you can use a lower value of gamma. uh, then there is an epsilon, and it will kind of decay with time. So epsilon basically means that how many times are you going to randomize things, like how many times are you going to get the random results. Like uh, let's suppose you take a ratio of 95 to 5%. So 95% of the time you are going to go by the whatever the neural network is telling you, and after and 5% of the time you are going to take a random step, so that if your learning is going on the wrong way, you can see that okay, there is a better way there, and your learning network can focus on there. And so whole epsilon thing is that an epsilon decay factor is also there. So what epsilon decay basically does is when your uh, model is performing good, it doesn't need to take random steps. You need to stabilize in. So in trading also, we kind of stabilize into one form of trading. Like okay, we are good, we are, let's say someone is good in trend following, someone is going good in following the breakthroughs, like breakouts. So they kind of, so it's very similar to how human kind of learn trading. So whatever works, the agent is very comfortable that okay, it's getting sufficient returns, and then it will kind of stabilize in that direction. Okay, so then there is a model, like so the model that we see, that we have seen in our presentation, that this is the deep learning model. There is a input model, and then we kind of add some uh, hidden layers, and the activation function is ReLU. You can, I mean, all the neural network guys can relate to it. I mean, we can't go into deep into it, but I can just say that activation function is something that you give input, it get multiplied by weights and biases, and then it goes into an activation function, and the neural network kind of tries to figure out a function. So what basically a neural network, or like the whole DQN model do is, it will create a distribution that, let's suppose that the state is like, if the prices are kind of flat, then there will be a distribution. Okay, if the prices are flat, then the distribution is kind of skewed in favor of let's say buy. And if it is kind of going down, then the distribution will be more favored towards selling side. So the whole purpose of this deep Q learning model is to create a distribution of Q function. Because if there are many state function, you can't create a table for each and every value, because it's not possible. Because there are as the number of states increase, as the number of the information increases, there's so many pairs of state and action that you simply cannot be discrete, and it will, so what it does is it creates a Q function. Okay, so here is the same thing, 1 minus epsilon and epsilon. It will choose any action at random, or and 1 minus epsilon time, it will choose the highest Q value. Now this is the function which kind of takes the action, like given the state, what the action it will take. So it may take a random if the value is less than epsilon, or it will take whatever the model is going to predict. And this here is our experience replay function. So what this function basically does, it may seem very, you know, fancy, but what it basically does is it takes all the state, action, reward, next state, and it kind of store it like this. We have a variable called mini batch. It stores it, like all the memory that it has of like whatever state we were in, whatever action we took, it kind of stores it. And then uh, it creates a target, and it uses, and the mod and it kind of gets used in the model. So I know it's not very visible in the code, but think of it as a list of experiences, or like whatever you have. So if any of you have done trading, so it's just like, okay, I did this on Monday and it happened, and did this on Tuesday and it happened, and did this on Wednesday and that happened. And when you are actually trading on Thursday, you are, when you are going to take the action, you are just thinking, okay, last 3 days those things happened, and now what I'm going to do. So as your experiences increases, you kind of, you are supposed to trade well. I know there are some behavioral biases that come into trading when humans are trading, but there is no such behavioral biases when it comes to this. So this whole experience replay batch, it will take the experiences and use that experience to up to train the neural network. So how it does is, like, there's a bit of mathematics there. It will create a target q value and what the model is going to predict, and it will see that how much the difference is there. So the loss function will be there. It will try to reduce, so it will kind of try to predict what actually is there versus what it is kind of predicting. And at the same time, it is, the q value itself is updating. So two things are kind of going simultaneously. And here is the epsilon decay that goes with time. So now we have discussed on a very high level what an agent does. It takes, like, it kind of initializes, there is a model, there is an action thing, and there is an experience replay thing. So these four things are there. Uh, these and then, so these are the functions, like sigmoid, like activation. For activation, it is defined here, and like get state, or like, so what it is basically doing is it is taking past data, t minus n plus 1. So it is simply using past data for its decision making. Okay. So, and then this is the function where we kind of say to the uh, Azure that if a buying signal, treat it in green, selling signal, treat it in red. Okay. And then this, so this is where, so earlier we have just defined everything. In this final code, we are putting it all together. So uh, we defined that, okay, this is our episode count. I have just put it 8 because I wanted to run it and show you guys, okay, what is the result after 8. It was increasing and then it kind of decreased drastically. I suspect it's basically because of the, you know, um, random action that we are kind of taking. I think I may have taken very much time, but okay. So what this function basically does is it kind of iterates through all the episode count that we have defined. Uh, and then there is an action that like agent will kind of act based on whatever the state is. It will get, it will store the next state. Uh, Whatever action it takes, we need a reward. So so if action is kind of selling, then we need to see, okay, what is the profit or what is the loss that is being taken. And then it will, go into the experience replay. And so we see that the agent.memory.append is going on. So like it's all, the whole thing, it's kind of being done. So, and then you just need to kind of run it, and there's a printing function. So this implementation is based on so it's mostly taken from a book called Blueprints of Data Science, and there are other articles also that I have gone through before conducting this seminar. Mostly we are taking the data of Yahoo Finance. This I have changed a bit, but I have not shown you the implementation on of harmonic functions like sine wave or like combination of sine or cosine waves, because I wanted to show you that, okay, even if the with the real time trading data, you can train an agent which can uh, your neural network is good to go, you can make a model that can really make trading decisions. And so this is not a live stream data. This, this is we have taken it on a daily level. So there are many platforms from which you can get the live stream data. Let's suppose you take 1 minute data, 5 minute data, or like whatever your latency your system kind of provides you, and then you can use these models. So you can change how the reward is set up, you can change how the information, what are the inputs that is going to take, but the overall structure will always going to be the same. There will be an environment, there will be an agent will learn from some kind of neural network. Now we in this whole tutorial we have seen this whole kind of structure. It's called DQN, deep Q learning model, which is very self-explanatory, that there is a deep neural network that is kind of used to, get the Q values. There are other methods called active critique method, A to C, A through A3C, and many other fancy name in which there are two neural network kind of giving simultaneously feedback to each other. You can use those also. So now I will stop it uh, because it kind of charges based on the time you are going to use it. But still, after this whole thing, we can see now when we say it, uh, we can see that we can make more sense of what is going. Firstly, there is no Q value, everything is randomized. Agent is taking action randomly. After that, some iteration is going on. The neural network is somewhat trained. It has somewhat reduced the randomness. After that, it has taken step in one direction, but still it has not learned anything. The profit is very low, and I suspect with this amount of transaction, after adding to the transaction cost and the slippage cost, it will probably that will also go away, and with time it kind of increases. So we see that how a basic trading agent can be used on actual financial data. You can train it based on technical indicator and financial values on news index. You can use sentiment analysis to uh, improve your model, and how you are using epsilon, how many epochs you are creating, what is the gamma value. So so I think I have shown you most of it. There are basically two things that I wanted to add. If you wanted to learn more about these things, we in your certification mail we will provide you references of the books. uh, there are many very fantastic articles and books on reinforcement learning. I can name a few from Indian authors as well, Sudarshan Ravichandran, and there's a book by Hariom Tatsat and uh, Vivis Ilsich. There are many. I may be mispronouncing their name, but we will give you the links to their books on reinforcement learning and how to apply it in a trading scenario. Uh, so yes, that is all. And one and yeah, basically you can do it in. You can basically see that it's very easy, very user friendly setup is there. You don't need any virtual, if you don't need any installation. And the people who have joined from ISP, I mean, we guys already have $100 credit from Microsoft. So basically I'm currently using that. So I mean, we can explore it, it's nice. So yeah, let's go back to the presentation. So, Swati, I think I'm done. You want to take?
Sure. Yeah, definitely.